Welcome back, everybody, to the Coach Mo Murphy podcast. As always, I am your host, Coach Mo Murphy, and with me, I got my guy, a special guest, a guy I have not had a conversation with, especially talking ball, in quite some time. My guy, Chris Lebron, is back in the building to bless us with his basketball mind on the Coach Mo Murphy podcast. Chris, how you doing, bro?
Man, always good to chop it up with you, dog. So
Yeah, it's been some time. We'll go ahead and take the Band-Aid off. So essentially, this episode is kind of like my transition coming off of like really being deep off into the college football season. College football's kind of ended. It's been a couple weeks. I've gotten caught up in the coaching, but like this is my transition of like the rest of the season, basketball content, locked in, college basketball, NBA basketball, locked in, women's, men's, all of that. So this is kind of my transition here with Chris LeBron. But we have to acknowledge that on New Year's Eve, December 31st, 2025, which is last year's news, we end up having to bring this up. The Miami Hurricanes defeated the Ohio State Buckeyes 27-17. For those of you that know, I am an Ohio State fan. As y'all all know, I attended the game. I was there, great seats in live action to witness my Ohio State Buckeyes take a loss to Chris LeBron's Miami Hurricanes. Now, before I let Chris brag, because his team did make the national championship, and so there's a lot there. What I will say is, I'm not gonna lie, I'm an Ohio State fan, but I was raised in Florida, and so I was on the Miami side behind the Miami bench, and like I haven't been to Florida in going on 6 years. Like I haven't been to Florida in going on 6 years, and so to have been with a bunch of people on that side of the stadium that definitely came from South Florida, came from Miami, came from just the state of Florida. Like there were very Florida vibes on that side. And so it was nice to like feel like I was around my people, and they were good fans too. Like one guy got a little too drunk and started trying to argue with everybody. But for the most part, like me being an Ohio State fan, my wife having an Ohio State jersey, they didn't, nothing was too raggedy. It was pretty fun. It was a good experience. But Chris, y'all ended up winning, so the floor is yours for this.
Man, I saw your podcast with our good guy Jeff, and I was just like, I'm not gonna say anything, but I will write some notes down from a couple things you said about Miami and the game, and I was just like, I'm not gonna mention it until the clock hits zero and we see the results of such game. And we came out victorious, and then I told you, oh, Mo, you said this and this and this, but I give you credit, you admitted it, you said, hey, it is what it is, it happened. But it was
it didn't hurt that bad. It didn't hurt, I think, because for me it was Miami. Like I don't hate Miami. I don't hate the Hurricanes. I don't have no reason to. Like, realistically, I know everybody go back this rivalry of being robbed in the national championship. I get that. And so I get where the hate on one side comes from, of like Ohio State has been uberly elite since.
I don't even think it's hate. I think it's, and you mentioned this and you guys talked about this, it's more of about the switch to happen. Like, yeah, we were the Ohio State Buckeyes. What you are now,
in the 90s, y'all were
we were the big dogs. Like we were pumping out first round pick after first round pick, 3 tight ends everywhere, running backs. We got 4 running backs that are all pros at one point.
The roster the year before is the greatest roster of college football team.
Andre Johnson, Santana Moss, Reggie Wayne. Oh, I could go on
Jeremy
and on.
Shockey. Like Jeremy Shockey. Before that team was the great. Like Miami had, I get teams or whatever based on success, but when you just look at roster and players that went on from that team and NFL success, like that team the year before Ohio State beat them, to me is the most talented team a college football team will ever have.
That team that beat Nebraska was like, and that game, the score was a little bit closer than like people probably remember, but that's because we called off the dogs, and we had to show a point because Eric Crouch was one of the Heisman and stuff, but it was like a shift that game, and I know the penalty people bring about that, but it legit started a shift. Like you guys became the big dogs, and we went back and like struggle. I mean, the next year I think we went to a major bowl, but then after that was a legit like, and then we go to the ACC and we're like, oh, we're supposed to actually bring up the ACC, and we don't even. I mean, we still haven't even been to the ACC. We haven't won an ACC. We've been there, but we haven't won one. So it was just like bringing back that memory. It wasn't so much. I mean, the penalty, whatever. That's it is what it is. But it's just bringing back like and now like Ohio State's the big dog, and they're coming in, and like you said, like we you got to come and play us, and we're like, okay, we got to come and play y'all, okay, yeah. And we came, and we were. It was, and realistically, we probably should have beat y'all by 21 points. We should have beat y'all by more. It shouldn't have been that close because we a lot of penalties, a little, but we got the job done. We won the football game, and it was just like, okay. And I think for both of us, the one thing like we always hear about the penalty, now that's gone. So I think if there's a benefit, that is gone.
Like it's gone. Miami beat us in this era. Like, you know what I'm saying? The win. Next time we play each other, like it's like seeing each other for the third time. Like we're going to settle this right here, right now. We got it back in 2002. Y'all got it in 2025. Exactly. The next time we see each other, you know what I'm saying? It'll be like, this is where we'll settle, especially in the playoffs. And we could see each other 3, 4, 5 times in the next 10 years from now. But that next one, that's what that juice will be behind it. The only thing that was disappointing to me being at the game was like the lack of energy, like not in the air. The fans were crazy for Ohio State, but the product, they didn't look like they wanted to be out there. Like from the beginning, like it wasn't about Miami, like even started physically beating them up. It's just Miami came to play. Miami was like, we are going to beat you up, but that is our plan. And every player stood by that. Ohio State came out flat, like, we're Ohio State. Because we're Ohio State, we're going to win this game. This Miami team really isn't that good. They snuck into the playoffs. Like, I feel like that was the approach from the players. And then when they finally started, like, okay, they kind of woke up in the second half, Miami fans got a little like, here the tides were turning. The second half, Ohio State woke up, put together. But then defensively, like, because you had already been beat up, that Miami team on that drive took advantage of you. Like late in the fourth quarter, you've been beat up physically. You didn't come to play right away. And they took advantage in order to put the game away. And then, of course, like when they marched the ball down the field, at that point, Ohio State is kind of in a situation of either let them score or just let them keep marching time off. Either way, they're going to extend. Like the inevitable is they were either going to score a field goal or a touchdown anyway. So it goes 27-17. You get the ball. You don't do anything. But it was like the lack of like, it almost like it didn't mean as much to Ohio State. And I don't want to say that like that's the only reason Miami won. It's just that the team that came out, it meant more to Miami. And you could tell on the field. Like it meant more to Miami, you could tell on the field. And that team ended up going to the national championship. Like every game meant something for this Miami team, including the national championship. I mean, I'm not going to lie. I thought Miami would get steamrolled, and it had nothing to do with Miami. It just seemed like Indiana's path of destiny is like, we're just going to blow everybody out. And Miami, as great as it was to reach the national championship and beat Ohio State, like so did Indiana. It just seemed destined for them to steamroll. But Miami wanted it just as bad. They really wanted it, if not more than Indiana. And that's what got in the way and was able to make it a dogfight. And there was points in the game where you thought Miami was going to win the game, definitely was going to have an opportunity. It had an opportunity down to the wire.
Well, how many fourth down conversions does Indiana have that Mendoza on that 4th and 8 or 4th and 5, and he scrambles, he gets the touchdown.
And that's the third and bro. Like that's you, and that's where it comes down to who
they
won.
took advantage. They took advantage of the little things like the Bain and the Bain play. And listen, Ruben Bain, best defensive player in the country. Like he was a dog this year. Like he's going to be he might be a top 3 pick this year. But that penalty you had on that third and 13, and we stopped it. It would have been 4th and 3. We punt. We're going to get the ball. He gets the offsides, and then I was 3rd and 8. Then they convert. They score a touchdown. And that's the little things we need to fix if we want to be back. Because you remember we talked about this. You said we would text each other, and you were like, "Yo, I think the U is back." I was like, "No, we got to win the Natty for us to be back." And we got to do the little things to be back. The penalties, we got lucky against Ole Miss that like another game we probably should have won handily. We got 11 penalties like that. We're lucky that we got away with that game because of the penalty. And then it came back to kind of hurt us again against Indiana. You have to, when you play Indiana, your team played Indiana in the Big Ten championship. You got to be disciplined because they're fundamentally sound. Like they don't have the 5 stars like you have and we have. They don't have that talent. Their talent is dispersed. It's from everywhere in the country. Like big pieces. Oh, they don't like you. I will take you here. And so they know they have to be fundamentally sound. And if you're undisciplined and you don't have fundamentals right, Indiana gonna beat your ass. And that's what they did to Oregon. They belt, they whooped them. And we didn't do it. If we would just tighten it up a little bit, we're here with our 6th national championship, but we didn't do the little things. And listen, it came down to the last drive, which, I would take if you would have told me at the beginning of the season, Chris, would you take, a last drive in the national championship? Would you take that? Of course, I would take that. But it's things that we didn't get to finish. But it was a tremendous ride. I mean, it was starting from Texas A&M game. People talking about. We can't go to the SEC. You're an ACC team. You guys didn't even make the ACC championship. Blah, blah, blah. We go to Texas A&M. We took care of business, and then Ohio State. Oh, you can't. They're gonna boat race you. And there was a part of me I was like, all right, maybe this is the game that Ohio State takes us. Because I remember you said on the pod like, hey, we just lost to Indiana. We motivated. Blah blah blah.
Destiny seemed like. And like I said, I can hang my hat on, hey, we lost. But it just
I get your mindset though. I get that mindset though. Like, oh, we just lost the Big Ten championship. Like, oh, we're gonna get rid of row.
I know they had I know they had a good win. I know they had beat Notre Dame, but just with Ohio State losing in the Big Ten championship, having beat Michigan, not being able to check all the green checks on their way to the national championship, I just assume like a team that showed their vulnerability losing to Louisville and SMU throughout the regular season was not going to be a team that was going to stop this Ohio State team from getting there. Like, and especially once Ole Miss had beat Georgia, like you just it was lined up for Ohio State to go on and basically create an easier path than they thought. And this was the matchup you would have wanted. Like if you're Ohio State losing to Indiana, being a 2 seed, getting Miami, a team that was borderline, like everybody was arguing whether they deserved
the last team in. You're the last team in.
That was a win-win scenario for Ohio State, and I just thought that at some point I just thought there was a pedal that they were gonna take their foot off the gas and unleash the offense, and I guess that element was probably really never there. Not that they didn't do it, I just don't think it existed. I mean, they got Jeremiah Smith going early. That's the one guy who you could tell showed up, but like for him, it was playing against homeboys. Like he was playing against people he grew up with. He was
too comfortable because the comments he made when the guy's like, yo, because we know it was between Miami and Ohio State. And he said, like, if they had the ish together, he would go, to me, that's something you just keep unto yourself. And I don't like that he said that. Like, and that's me as a Miami fan, I would have loved him to come, but I don't know if his teammates would be. I didn't heard anything, but I don't know if his teammates were probably cool with him saying, yeah, if this was Miami 2 years ago, oh yeah, I'm there. I don't know if I'm a teammate that I'm cool with him saying that because it's like, I'm only here at Ohio State because Miami didn't have the ish together, or else I would have been a hurricane with no problem. I didn't like that. If I was a teammate, I would not like that. And I don't know if that's maybe. I'm not saying that's the reason why you guys lost to us, but I don't know because it felt like he was. I mean, he balled out. He had a really.
But when he's the guy who he says that and then he comes to play, like you have to respect that. Like he was the guy that lacked the performance. He came like, Jeremiah Smith getting loose. That's even the thing. The couple plays that he made early in the game, you're like, oh boy, this about to be a long day for Miami because Jeremiah Smith is getting going. But number 17 on the other side. Never seemed like he wanted to play. Like he just never seemed like he wanted to play.
Carnell. And what's crazy? I see a lot of mocks with Carnell going to the Giants because the Giants have a top 5 pick and we could use a receiver. And I was like, I don't know, man. But he was not ready in that moment. But I
will say though,
he's nice. He's a good player, but
this is a dude who knew I'm going first round. and I won a national championship already.
Top 10
Like,
too. He's going
it's
top
more
10.
than likely. Like we'll have to see what he tests in the combine and everything, but like the possibility is he's going to be a top 10 pick. In a sense, with coming off, I won the national championship. I know it's the wrong mindset, but these kids, we've seen it time and time again where this game don't mean as much to him because I know I have a future. I know, like, if I win this game, I still got to play another one. That each game next is not a guarantee. Where, like, if I make it through this game healthy, I know what the guarantee is I'm going in the first round in the NFL draft. And so it seemed like, lack of effort, protecting himself, making sure, like, I don't put myself in harm's way because there is a future for me. And not everybody has that. And not everybody wears that. And not everybody cares about that. People who know, a guy like Caleb Downs, don't care that he was going to go he's probably going to go in the top 10. Like he was out there playing hard. Jeremiah Smith don't care that he's going to be a top 5 pick after he's got a whole nother season to play and he's going to be a top 5 pick. Like he came to play, but we've seen time and time again, guys kind of adopt those type of mentalities right before entering into the NFL draft. And sometimes in the sense, like if it wasn't a playoff game, Carnell Tate wouldn't have played. They would have
would have opted out.
Like, I understand this, especially when you already won the national championship. Like we won it last year. So for him, like the motivation is, I mean, it's cool to be back to back, but I'm Carnell Tate. Like, where does it cement his legacy any more than already being a national champ as an Ohio State Buckeye? Like,
I get that. I get that perspective. But remember, if you're going to the itself, but when you go to the pros, they're going to ask you about that. They're going to be like, yo, so what happened? Like, what happened?
And he's obviously going to be PR trained to lie about it, bro. There's going to be some injury or something. True. There's going to be some ankle or hamstring that's been bothering him, something like that. I mean, he's going to know how to get through that process. But
like you mentioned, like, and we don't got to go too deep into talking more about college football. It's a crazy season. It was a great season too. It was a lot of entertaining games. So, even though my team lost in that, and I was sick. That's the worst. That's a horrible feeling. Losing to the national championship, and that's a sick feel. I didn't listen to anything college football for like, till like yesterday. It was tough, but it was, the Miami season is magical and what they did. But like you mentioned before, like this an ACC, but they weren't a typical ACC team. And I think those losses to SMU and to Louisville, like the Louisville especially, I think they were just like, damn, bro, can we get some competition? Like Louisville, and listen, Louisville, they were good at that point, and then they kind of fell off after. So the win-loss record, you're gonna be like, oh, they shouldn't have. But that's a couple plays away from we beat them by 20. Like it was just that type of game. But we play with our food, and sometimes you play your food. Stuff happens. So same thing with SMU. Like penalties, penalties. We had a personal foul penalty that if we don't have that doesn't happen, we beat them. So but
they didn't put the game away.
Yeah, we didn't. But like we could also look at it like they were just a few plays away from going undefeated and going pace. And it's not our fault that the ACC has a stupid rule with the percentages, of your opponents. That's how you just take the tiebreakers. Like that's not our fault that the ACC is dumb and be like, no, let's change that. We need Miami in it. And obviously it wound up working out for the best that, everything happened. But it was just, great college season. It sucks that, but I'm just happy that my team is going to be in this. We might have our quarterback, from it was we might have done this real nasty, but hey, sometimes you gotta. But college football, despite all the craziness with all the Ole Miss drama and everything going on, playoff format, Notre Dame not getting in, Kiffin saga, we got Indiana. Like, listen, I know Indiana, it's a Big Ten team and stuff, but that's impressive what they did, man. I know they got a billionaire booster, but still, Indiana to do what they did.
But they didn't spend any more on their team than anybody else. They just
that's exactly.
Like, and real quick, and then we'll move on. But I tell everybody, like, Ole Miss, Miami, and Indiana laid the blueprint of the current situation of college football that we're in and what it's going to take to win games and be able to compete for a national championship. Miami was an older team that invested in the transfer portal. And Miami wasn't uberly old. Now they had of those three teams.
We have a really good. We probably have the best balance between.
They were closer
high
to
school
50-50 than Ole Miss and Indiana. Miami was basically 50-50. And how they did it was all their high school guys, most of them we're going to keep the South Florida talent in South Florida. And then we're going to attack the transfer portal, and we're going to get some play now guys, and we're going to see what that does. And it worked. Like it worked for three of the four teams were very, I don't want to say dependent, but they invested in the transfer portal more than they did in 17, 18-year-old kids. And it paid off. And that's good. And exactly. And that's going to be because that's what it allows. Like, why a 17-year-old kid, unless he's one of those Jeremiah Smiths or Malachi Tonys, like you got to be one of those dudes. And that's like, Ryan Williams had his little flash of fame, but he hasn't been the same since the first 4 games of the season last year as a freshman. Like, but it got him on the cover of a video game. But unless you're one of those dudes that you got the capability of having a Jeremiah Smith freshman year last year or Malachi Toney freshman year this year, more than likely, I need a guy that can help me win now. And that guy's going to be 20, 21 years old.
Well, especially at quarterback, too.
Experience, multiple years starting. So that's the blueprint, and Miami laid it. And they're going to they're getting Darian Mensah from Duke. Like that, we're going to have an older quarterback. We can play the 1-year rental quarterback thing. I don't have to develop quarterback. I just need a guy that's ready to play now. I don't have to prove Mario Cristobal. He's a defensive mind anyway. He don't got to prove that he could develop a quarterback. Even if he want a shot at the NFL, if he want a different head coach's shot, if he want a DC position in the league, whatever it may be, he don't got to prove that he could develop a quarterback in order for him to do that. He just got to get one in there that can play year in and year out. And if it's going to be going the older route and not developing, it works. It got you to the national championship. But I do want to, let's go ahead and transition into basketball.
One more thing, because I'm the college football. Now I'm back into college football again like it was. But what Oregon did, the way they're doing it was with Dante Moore, and then they got Raiola. But I think we're going to see a lot more of that. We're going to see a lot of those.
The younger guys are going to go. They're going to be younger guys are going to be more willing to sit because I think you're going to see
the money too. So like, okay, I got my $5 million. I'll sit for a year, and then
more quarterbacks are going to play that 4th year. Like we're gonna have more senior quarterbacks. We're gonna have more 4-year starters or whatever. Like Mark Manning's coming back. He's gonna be a senior. Like this is his 4th year in college. He sat for 2 years. Like more guys are gonna be willing to do that because you're also getting paid a handsome ransom while doing that. And then when it's your time to shine, you've already gotten paid, and it's gonna benefit you. And these guys are going to the league. Some of these guys are gonna be coming. Fernando Mendoza. As much as we talk about the fact he's 22, 23 years old, like this dude is also possibly going to be the number 1 pick in the draft.
He's played a lot of games.
That experience is also going to have you a little more ready. It's different coming in at 21, 22 than it is coming in at 19, 20. Like there's going to be a lot of differences. You might be from taking the reins of a professional program. So I'm not, hey, if you get a different quarterback that's a senior looking to transfer and that's Miami's blueprint, you can't be mad at it. You can't develop everybody. That's the thing. I can't focus on developing everybody. Sometimes, especially when I can dabble in the transfer portal, hey man, I ain't got time to develop these receivers. Give me $3 million and let me go get 3 receivers that can give me 1,000 yards right now today because they did it last year at their respective school. Give me 500,000 for that receiver that got 550 yards but is a gadget guy, and we've seen him do it already on the field. Not the guy that has the possibility and the potential. It's gonna all balance itself out at some point. But you do have a Knicks hat, so to transition into basketball, your Knicks are currently on TV. But we can talk about the New York Knicks. Because you want to talk about, like, this has been a roller coaster, I feel like, of the NBA season. I feel like a lot of trade buzz has been around, and I feel like those are the interesting topics. Typically, that's what's interesting about the NBA. When we talk NBA, is like who's getting traded. Everything gets really fiery, and good conversation comes around this time of year. So it's also a perfect time to transition. But your Knicks have been on a roller coaster of the season because, like, they started off very hot. Knicks look like one of the best teams in the Eastern Conference. Looks like this is their Eastern Conference to lose in a sense. Then they go on that skid, and now it seems like they're back off of that skid and back kind of looking like the Knicks of the first 25 games of the season right now. Jalen Brunson seems healthy. Like everybody's good to go. Now, I hear there's trade rumors of, there's behind the scenes of, entertaining Karl Anthony Towns out of New York. If it's me, I don't know. I'd love to hear what you think as far as that aspect, especially where the Knicks are right now. But if it's me, I don't see anything happening till the summer. I see everybody holding off for any trades of names of real value until the summer, especially after watching what Trae Young just went for. Like if Trae Young, who averages 25 and 10, is an all-star caliber player, goes for CJ McCollum and, a salary filler, like I don't see the Ja Morants, the Karl Anthony Towns. Like everybody's kind of waiting on what Giannis is doing. And so in the midst of that, nobody's going to overpay for the Karl Anthony Towns, the Ja Morants, or whatever it is until the summertime. Unless Giannis was to get traded before the trade deadline, then I think a lot of people will wake up because, okay, the Giannis dream is over with. Now we got to make some moves, and they'll be willing. But up until then, I think a guy like Karl Anthony Towns is pretty much safe in New York.
Yeah, that's the thing everyone's just waiting for. And then, but Giannis's injury kind of puts a puts a little damper into like what can possibly happen. But the Knicks are kind of
traded.
He can be traded, but it's like
he didn't pop his Achilles. It's not an Achilles,
but he hurt his calf, and this is like his 5th calf injury. And like, I think a lot of Knicks people are just like, we trade for him, and then watch something happens with the Achilles, and then it's like, oh, we just traded for a terrible asset because now he's hurt he's gonna be out for another year. And I think there's kind of because listen, they've engaged in conversations with Milwaukee. I think the biggest holdup with the Knicks is draft capital. Because if you're Milwaukee, you want picks, and the Knicks don't have any picks, that you really want until 2030. Now you can be like, all right, Giannis is probably in 2030. That's 4 years from now. Giannis is going to be 34. He might not be the same. Maybe they'll have a bad couple of years, and we get lucky. But you want actual picks that are actually going to help replenish your roster. They don't want Karl Anthony Towns. They don't want him. But the only way to match salaries is, if you want to do kind of an evenish trade, is match salaries. And I just don't know why would Milwaukee want to do that? Like, why would they want Karl Anthony Towns if they're trying to rebuild? Because we see what they are right now with Giannis, and they have the 8th worst record in the NBA. So why would they want Karl Anthony? That messes up their chance to chinking. Now they also are in a bad spot too because. Not too much a bad spot, but they don't even own their pick. They get to swap with, I think, the Pelicans. Now, the Pelicans are bad too, so it could be a situation where they only got to swap 1 spot, 2 spots, but they don't control their pick. So if they get the number 1 pick, they're not really going to get the number 1 pick. They got to swap it. So they're in a bad spot. And listen, you're always going to take the championship, right, Mo? You're always going to take. So they have a championship. So, and now, yes, that was 4 years ago, but you always going, like the fact that you got a championship, it was worth it. But we all know, right? There comes some things that, there's some bad things that can come with going all in to win a championship. And we're seeing that too. So for Milwaukee, they're in a spot where it's like, okay, this isn't working, but this is our guy. We developed this. He wasn't the number 1 pick. He wasn't a top 5 pick. Like, he was a project pick that nobody thought was going to be, any good, and he's arguably the best player in basketball. So I think you have the Knicks who don't have the assets, but you have Milwaukee who's like, it's like, oh man, we know we have to let go, but that's hard to let go of something. That's our baby. We got to let it go, but trying to find the right pack. But you also know that Giannis can be like, no, I'm not going. I know he doesn't have a lot, but it's still, that's Giannis, and you want to show him respect because he won you a championship, your first championship in a long time, in 50 plus years, I think. So it's kind of a tough situation. You're not going to just trade him to the Kings, even though they give you the best opportunity with their pick or whatever. But so you're Milwaukee's in a absolutely brutal spot. And if I'm the GM, I don't know how this ends, but if you had to tell me, gun to my head, I do think he ends up as a Knick. And but like you said, I think it's an off-season thing. Because right now with that calf thing, that scares me. If I'm Leon Rose, it's like, okay, it's already hard to get him. If he was healthy, it's still difficult to try to trade for him. We need to most likely get a third team involved so they can give us the picks that they want. because the picks we have just doesn't do it for them. So, but he has a calf, and it's like, okay, that's tricky. That's his 5th calf injury in like the last year or so. Like that's, and we see calf lead to the eventual Achilles, and then we mentioned before that could be a year thing, and he's getting older. We don't know how he comes back. So I do think he ends up in New York, but I think it's an off-season thing, and I think it's all predicated on how the Knicks finish the season. Because if they go to the finals, maybe it's a different process, But if we get bounced in, right now we're the 3rd seed, 3rd, 4th seed. I got to double check, but if we're like the 3rd, 4th seed, we get bounced in round 1, Mo, then that's going to fasten everything up. And also, once the new league year starts, we can actually trade a couple more picks. So maybe that helps out. I think that's a little bit more realistic to try to trade. But I think he will end up in New York. I think he wants to be a Knick. I think he wants to be in a big city. Just from everything I heard. This is not me just being a Knick fan. It's just everything you hear says he wants to be in a bigger city. He wants to be in a big market. Now it's just a matter of how do we get there? And it's not easy because the Mikal Bridges thing, I told you, Mo, it's going to come back to bite us. And somehow there's always a bigger fish. And I don't understand. I'll never understand why they gave up so much for Mikal. Like if that was the last piece, like if we had Giannis already and we have Brunson and you're like, okay, the missing piece is Mikal Bridges, then do it. Then I'm fine with that. But we still were trying to figure things out, so, but I think it's going to be complicated. I do think eventually Milwaukee's just going to be like, okay, where do you want to go, bro? Where do you want to go? And he's going to say New York. And I think he'll end up in New York, but in the offseason, though. I don't think it's going to happen. I think it's too complicated right now. A third team has to get involved. And, does a third team want to give up assets to take on maybe some bad contracts, or I don't know. It's very difficult to try to figure out the right trade package for Giannis, but I feel for Milwaukee because they're going to lose their best player ever, and that's going to suck for them.
Yeah, but it does seem, my thing is, it seems inevitable that Giannis Antetokounmpo has arguably probably played his last game as a Milwaukee Buck.
He shouldn't play again too, right? Do you think that he shouldn't play, right? Again?
I don't think so, because here's my thing. I think everybody in the building knows. I think Giannis knows sometimes whether you want to break up or not. Mm-hmm. I think Giannis still does want to win one more championship. If he was satisfied with one, then stay a Milwaukee Buck forever and be that legend in Milwaukee. There's nothing wrong with doing that.
No, but no. He wants to win multiple,
in a sense, Giannis also tells you, I love Milwaukee, but the thing that's on my mind right now is winning. I want to win another championship or 2 or 3. Multiple. But he definitely wants to have, and I think at the very least, I think Giannis wants to maximize his opportunity to win a championship. Because no matter where he goes, whether it's New York, whether it be Miami, whether it be playing with Luka and the Lakers, I don't know, whether it go be joining forces with Wembanyama in San Antonio. Whatever scenario you want to paint, that's a best case scenario for Giannis. I just don't. I see him. It's never a guarantee. But I know if I play for the Knicks, that me and Jalen Brunson and surrounding company that you don't give up in order to get me in this Eastern Conference, we are viable contenders in a Knicks uniform. I know if I go to Miami and you team me up with, if you keep Bam Adebayo, and I know somebody else will come in and play because it is Miami and we're in the Eastern Conference, we're viable contenders for a championship every year with one of the best coaches, if not the best coach in the NBA. You have that conversation. I know I'm viable to win the championship. If I was to go go to the West Coast, go to big sunny LA and join forces with Luka Doncic, I know me and Luka, dynamic duo, I'm viable to win the championship. There's nothing to be guaranteed. Him and Wemby would be a duo Tim Duncan and David Robinson on steroids, the modern day 2026 version of Tim Duncan and David Robinson. In a San Antonio uniform, he know he'd be viable. I play with this dude and I play in this environment, this atmosphere. I'm viable for a championship. And I think that's all he's asking for, because him in Milwaukee, It's not gonna happen. They don't
They're
have,
not even in the play-in in the Eastern Conference.
and they don't have the players. They don't have the picks. They don't have who's their best trade asset right now? Bobby Portis or Ryan Rollins?
Ryan Rollins,
The two best trade assets, because Bobby Portis, I think somebody who's looking to make a run in the playoffs and for a championship, Bobby Portis is their big coming off the bench. Like, that's pretty solid. He already shown that he could play that role in for a championship team, doing it with the Milwaukee Bucks. So I think there's some interest there, but like trading for getting rid of Bobby Portis doesn't really get you much back in return, especially to try and show enough to keep Giannis. Now, I feel like the move that Milwaukee should have really went all in to try and make. Now, I don't, and like I said, there's no incentive to do crazy business with Milwaukee, but I think they should have really been trying to get Ja Morant, because I would have took it. And here's the thing, it's a last pitch effort to try and keep Giannis in Milwaukee. There may be nothing that I can do, but the Ja Morant, and you might, if you got Ja Morant, this was now I thought this prior to Giannis hurting his calf. Now that Giannis is hurt, it changes things, because it will mess up the trading for Ja Morant before the deadline timeline to see if it rocks out. Because if Giannis is, let's say this isn't going to be something that happens till the summer anyway. If I go get a Ja Morant, Giannis, what didn't hurt his calf, they go on a run, they get in the play-in, and they make it to the Eastern Conference Finals. They don't get to the finals, they don't win championship, but them two together get to the Eastern Conference Finals. Ja Morant only 26. There's viable reason for me to kind of keep this going, in the same situation when they thought about trading for Damian Lillard, but Damian Lillard was 34. Now, Ja Morant don't have the scoring ability. He's not Damian Lillard, but just it would be a last pitch effort for me. But if that makes zero sense to Milwaukee, then essentially you have, because I don't think it makes much sense for Memphis to do business with Milwaukee for Ja Morant. I think you could get more going elsewhere. But if that doesn't make sense for you, for Milwaukee to go have gotten a guy like Trae Young, go in and gotten a guy like Ja Morant, then essentially you're saying there's no real move that we can make to make this team better for Giannis to stay and become a championship contender. And since you that's kind of the message you're saying, then I think it just does best for both teams to part ways. I think Giannis, partly, it just seems like he's afraid of how he'll be looked at. Like, he doesn't want to be known as that guy that bounces team to team, but I really feel like Giannis will leave, and wherever he goes, like, he's retiring from there. If anything, he comes back to Milwaukee for like his last.
He doesn't seem like a bounce around type of guy. But
yeah, like, I think when he leaves here, wherever he goes, like, this is where I see me riding off the rest of my career at, whether it be LA, New York, Miami, somewhere else in the Midwest, somewhere in Texas, like whatever it may be. I just think his next move will be his last move. Giannis isn't going to be a guy that's going to bounce around until he's 40 years old, he's not even from this country. Like, who's to say this is where he wants to retire and stay in the United States anyway?
He might want to go play in Greece League and finish out his career,
I think the next move, it'll just be a one move. It won't be like moving around like LeBron did or like Kevin Durant did. And I think he admires how Steph Curry is looked at. And you kind of see it in a sense, like there's a time now where I think Steph Curry could help a million teams win a championship right now. But because of his legend in Golden State, I don't think he'll ever leave. And I just don't think they're in a position to bring in the help to get Steph Curry one more ring. Now, he's won 4. Like Giannis won 1, Steph Curry won 4, went through an era, all that. The Warriors had their like era of time under Steph Curry. But you even look at a guy with that much talent, and you just would love to raise the question, like, wouldn't it make sense for Steph to ask out? Now, I understand the loyalty and stuff, but he really still can contribute at a superstar level to help win the championship, and you're kind of just watching him rot away in Golden State. And I think a lot of people feel like, depending on how much longer Steph Curry got in the league, that should be a conversation Golden State should have in the summertime too, is, you just, especially with Jimmy Butler tearing his ACL, like there's just not really many moves, and Kuminga doesn't have the trade value that they want him to have in order to be willing to move him. And I don't think he'll ever have the trade value they want.
They've mishandled that whole situation.
And they've messed it up. So now, no matter what, his trade value isn't going to be there for what you want in order to move him, but you do want to move him. So you're in a sticky situation there. And so, like, the same thing with Giannis, but Steph's been there longer. Steph's a little bit older. So riding off into the sunset 4 championships, the greatest shooter of all time. He'll ride off with a different legacy than Giannis. But I think Giannis is really interested in winning another championship and that feeling of really competing in the Eastern Conference Finals, competing in the NBA Finals. And I really think if he just sits back and is being honest with himself, there's a 0% chance that that's probably going to happen in Milwaukee unless he's healthy enough to go on an insane run by himself.
Dog, the Damian Lillard thing was supposed to be, when they got Damian Lillard, that was supposed to be like, oh, okay.
That was the last ditch effort to me.
And when that didn't work, it didn't work. And obviously it was due to a lot of injuries. Like Giannis got hurt, then Dame got hurt. So obviously, and it was a short stint. But once that didn't work, that was the writing on the wall right there. And then they waived Damian. Like, they're like, nah, we don't even want you here, dog. Like, that's it. Like, we'll waive you. Like, Damian Lillard is making a lot of money. And they said, so remember, they're taking on dead cap. They're still paying Damian, I think it's $20 million on their books. You're still paying off Damian Lillard's last year's contract. So it's just a situation where, like, everything's going wrong. We're not even a play-in team. Like, we're not even a play-in team right now. We're the 11th seed in the Eastern Conference with Boston missing guys, and the Knicks have struggled, and Detroit's the number 1 seed. No disrespect, but like, there's just like all these things are happening. Cleveland's the 5th seed. They've had ups and downs. Philadelphia, we don't know what they expect from Philly because they could be really good or they could be really bad. Like, we don't know. Miami is going through something. So, like, and we're not even in the part of the bat right now. We're 3 games out of the 10th seed. We're not even in the discussion. So, like, eventually it just got to be, you just have to, okay, the Ja thing was a rumor, but like, what does that do? Does that make them, so they'll be the 10th seed and they get bounced out the first round. And they'll get bounced on the play-in game. Eventually, you just have to be like, okay, we can't keep trying to put Band-Aids on this. This is the blood is spewing out. It's an open wound. It's to the neck. It's to the jugular. We cannot fix this. We have to restart. And that's a horrible feeling as an organization when you're not a big market. So you can't just rely on the name of your city. Like, Chicago's been just going off the name of their city for a while, right? Ever since Derrick Rose had the injuries. But, they can rely on their name, the Chicago. The New York can rely on New York. Miami can rely on Miami. Milwaukee doesn't have that. So, like, they're going to struggle once this. But it has to if you have to reset, this is unfortunately the way you got to do it. And you don't want to, end up, just keep going, pedaling it when it's just not working. So you just have to. It's more of them going to Giannis and be like, hey, man, we tried everything humanly possible since we won the championship to get back that magic. It's not working, dog. Just tell us straight up, what do you want? Do you want out? Because we know he wants out. Because he said it, but then he's like, let's, he goes back and forth. But sometimes you just got to be the bigger man, and just be like, yo, where do you want to go? Pick 3 teams and we'll try to get the best out because you've done good to us. We'll do good to you. It's not, obviously, like I said, there's probably better packages from all the bad teams, but we're not going to send you to Sacramento. We're not going to send you to Memphis. We're not going to send you to one of these bottom dweller teams. We're going to send you somewhere, show respect, because you've shown us this and you helped us win a championship and you've been so great. It's like I said, like I mentioned, it's a tough situation because that team's going to suffer because Giannis has brought a lot of good things economically. He's the face of the franchise, and he's probably boosted their evaluation. They sold the team, I think, recently. The valuation was through the roof. Now you don't have that marquee. Though that banner outside of the arena, that going down, like, it's like when Cleveland lost LeBron. Like, I don't know if it'll be to that effect, but it's gonna hurt. It's gonna hurt them. It's gonna hurt badly, the financially and everything. So, I mean, I don't wish being the GM or at basketball ops for Milwaukee right now must be sickening because every day you're just like, we're getting closer to this happening. And you're just going to sleep thinking you want it to go away, but it's not. You just got to face it. Like, this isn't working. We've tried everything humanly possible since we won the title and it's just not working. So we got to figure out something.
Yeah, and I do think it's just one of those, like, it is time. And if it happens, if it's not until the summer, I definitely understand, especially with Giannis having this calf injury. But it just becomes like, give us a list. Give us like 3 to 5 teams to work with.
What do you think his list is? What do you think his list would be right now? If you say 3 teams, like yo, Giannis, 3 teams. What are the 3 teams?
Miami, New York, and San Antonio.
LA?
No, Miami, New York, and San Antonio.
I think. Hear me out.
Now I think LA.
I think LA is a dark horse.
But I don't want to do that. Like, I really think there's some interest in him playing with Wemby. What I don't want to do is what it's easy to do for everybody is it's always to say when a superstar, Kevin Durant out, New York, Miami, LA. We try, if Nikola Jokic was asked out, New York, Miami, LA. Like, and it's gonna makes sense for all 3 teams. It makes sense why it's the Knicks. It makes sense why if you want the you don't want the LA glamour, but you want everything else. It makes sense why Miami is that destination and they always pop up. And Pat Riley is willing to cook or is at least putting his name in the hat, even though when it's time to really make the deal, he doesn't make it happen. So it makes sense, especially for Giannis Antetokounmpo, for those 3 teams. Where's a Nike superstar gonna thrive and have an opportunity to win? Part of me, like, I think LA would be like 4 on that list. Like, if he gives them 5 teams, LA will be one of those 5 teams. Like, the Lakers will be one of those 5 teams. But he also a weird type of dude to go to the Clippers. He the type to say, send me to the Clippers. I don't mind going to LA, but send me to the Clippers.
Nobody should do that to themselves. You don't. I think
you start buying in on your Clippers. You start buying in. You done with your Clippers?
I'm done. I'm with the Clippers, bro. They've let me down. Every time I'm like, yo, I think they can make a run. No, they never make the run. They always blow it in Game 7, lose by 30. But I think the Lakers they could do some because the best spot for him is with Luka. I think him and Luka would absolutely destroy. Because
that's Wemby would destroy.
But all right, I'll say this. I think the best fit is the Lakers, him and Luka. I think the best trade package is with the Spurs. Because if you're Milwaukee, all right, if everything's set on the table, and everyone has their ideal, the Knicks probably have the worst. Let's say Knicks, Spurs, Miami, and who was the other team we mentioned? Knicks, Spurs, Miami, Lakers. You got 4 teams. The Knicks probably have the worst trade package you can get, but it's New York, right? And he wants he wants to go to New York, right? It's been said he wants to go to New York, but it doesn't have the best package, and the actual fit is I don't know how that fit works. So you go to Miami. It's Miami, that's just we could just straight up. It's Miami. They built the culture. They know how to win. Okay, that's good. All right, and no state income.
And I think Miami's trade package I think Miami's
they got some good young players they can get.
It becomes a little more interesting, I think, than people think because it's not the same. First off, guys have created some value. Now I know the thing that sticks is like Miami players when they go elsewhere, they don't really play, but like. A guy like Khalil Ware isn't necessarily Heat culture style of player. Like
that's why he's not playing like that.
Right. And I'm surprised when they took him, but at the same time, he's had some really good games. Like the potential is there. He's shown flashes in a Miami Heat uniform. He just got to do some growing up. That's what they say behind the scenes.
He's a better player in Milwaukee where they're going to be trash and he can just do his thing. Where Miami is structure. Yep. He just needs to do his thing and then just do
and
that.
And you start to talk about you dangle and here's where Miami really gets interesting. It seems like what they would be trying to do is land Giannis without giving up Bam. But you have a Khalil Ware, you got a Tyler Hero. I know he's not the superstar, but in this instance,
a complimentary player, he's a
only San Antonio is going to give a better trade package when you talk about players to build around. New York will have to give up Cat in order to make it make sense. Where the possibility of Tyler Hero, if he stays healthy, we got a guard to build around. Khalil Ware. Then you bring up the Jaime Jaquez's and Pell Larsons, and I'm not saying those guys are great. The fact that they have been playing well, it makes Miami's package a little more interesting than you thought it would have, a year ago. This time last year, you're laughing at what Miami could offer, unless you basically would be like, in order to get Giannis, you got to be willing to give up Bam Adebayo. Like we're starting conversations, you would say with Bam Adebayo.
Honestly, yeah, because Bam's value is not the same because I think people keep expecting him to take like that next leap offensively, but him being a second guy isn't what he is. Like him as like a third option is perfect. So you add Giannis, you add someone else, and you Bam's your third. And he still provides defense. So and then like you have the Spurs, they have the best. They have the best package.
They can do whatever. Draft picks, young players. They can pick. They give you Aaron Fox if you want them. They give you Dylan Harper if you want them. It seems like they're trying to hold on that they're going to keep. They want Stephen Castle.
That's the thing. Yeah.
And if I'm Milwaukee, I think I want Castle.
I want Castle. I want either Castle or Harper. That's the trade because I need a piece that I could build around. If we don't have Giannis, I need Harper or Castle. Give me one of them, and then you throw in whoever. You could throw in Harrison Barnes or what, just to match. Because I don't think
build off of that, but I do need one of them too. And it seems like San Antonio would love if they had it their way. They would love to just De'Aaron Fox and all our picks type stuff. Like we'll give you De'Aaron Fox, another player or two, and then all our picks.
I don't even think so.
And keep it Stephen Castle.
I think they would want to keep Fox. It's like we need a vet.
If I bring Giannis in and have Giannis Wemby, I would want to keep De'Aaron Fox. And then I'd be trying to keep one of Stephen Castle or Dylan Harper, but I'd be willing to give up one of them. Like that would be my thing is I'm willing
to have to, yeah, exactly.
And if it has to be Castle, like it has to be Castle. We're talking about trading for Giannis here. Like, don't let Stephen. I don't want to put him in the package. Be the reason why he gets shipped off to LA or New York or Miami. When you're San Antonio and got an opportunity to get the big fish, as good as Castle is and whatever the potential that he has, he's not going to be. I think it's safe to say he's not going to be Giannis Antetokounmpo. So I wouldn't let Stephen Castle or Dylan Harper be the reason that holds me up, whether it's one of them. And I would ideally want De'Aaron Fox to be my point guard because I'd want a veteran point guard. Giannis and Wemby, I think you sound more championship ready to go. But like I said, I'm with you on the Lakers because like my homeboy is a Lakers fan, right? And every time these big stars pop up available, he be trying to tell me like, look, we're going to get one of them. Like, and every time you try, no, y'all not. Like LeBron James comes into LA. No, y'all not. It's just LeBron and all these young guys. Yeah, we're going to take all these young guys. We're going to bring Anthony Davis into LA. All right, the LeBron and Anthony Davis experiment has ran its course. What are the Lakers going to do? Overnight, granted, a lot of BS behind the scenes about how it happened, but overnight, we're going to bring Luka Doncic. We're going to take one of the 3 to 5 best players in the league. We're going to bring him into LA in the prime of his career. And we're going to have him for the next 5 to 7 years to see what he can do in the Lakers uniform and what kind of Luka magic can happen in LA. And so now Giannis being available. Everybody, the question is like, what are the Lakers going to do to surround Luka with talent? Who are they looking to trade for? This is Luka's team now. This, that, and the other. The simple thing to do is if Giannis put the Lakers on his radar, the Lakers gave an offer that Milwaukee would even entertain. Giannis can now force his way. You know what? I want to be a Laker. Like if you're really having serious talks, he can hone in on one team after everybody had their conversations. And so I think he could force being a Nike athlete as well. Like I think he could force his way into a Lakers uniform. Like the same way he could with New York, the same way he could with Miami. And I think that's where the Lakers are the dark horse is if Giannis say, I want to go to LA for whatever reason, nobody would be opposed to a Luka Giannis. Like, of course, that's what the Lakers get, but nobody would be opposed of a European Shaq and Kobe, a 2026 Shaq and Kobe.
And also, if you're the Lakers, you need to keep Luka happy and him to want to re-sign with you. And listen, LeBron's, I think this is his last year as a Laker, not as an NBA player. I think it's his last year as a Laker. I believe
that too. I think so.
I believe it's his. I think it's but where he retired, I don't know what's going to happen with that because he can still play. Obviously, he's still a really good player. So like, I know everybody wants LeBron to retire, but if he's still averaging 24, 7, and 7, I mean, play as long as you humanly can. But
you feel me? Like it is, yeah.
Like I always hate when people like say, "Oh, this guy should retire." Like, wait, so you want a guy who's? I know he's 41, but he's still.
They are like giving you 8 and 6 a night.
He's not Vince Carter 41, where he's averaging 6 points a game,
yeah,
shooting 35%.
20-point performances. Like he's waking up on a Wednesday night, giving you 25 just because he feels like it still.
Now for the Lakers, it's different because it's like, okay, we got to figure out a way to keep Luka here long term
and move on from LeBron. The
and
LeBron
move on
era
for
is no longer.
the LeBron era is not because and listen, the Lakers need defense in the worst way. And you bring in Giannis, now you have Luka's partner in crime. You have the ultimate rim runner, rim protector in Giannis.
Screen and roll.
And boom, now we have for the next 5 years, we have our Kobe and Shaq, the new version of Kobe and Shaq.
The European Kobe and Shaq. Yep.
So that's why I think the Lakers, and this is why if I'm the Knicks, you might have a little pressure to, hey, we need to get this done now. Even though I think an off season is more realistic for the Knicks to do it, but you have to kind of figure out how to do it now, because if you wait
for the Lakers in the summertime,
because they also have their picks available too.
Yep. Come summertime.
They might have I got to check the cap space if LeBron's not there, but they kind of need that LeBron's, whatever 50, whatever his number is, to be off the books to help out. And if they have to flip, listen, if you got to flip AR to get a Giannis too, because they can't afford AR. They're not going to be able to afford to keep AR. And so it's like, all right, you're obviously going to keep, you want the priority is to keep Luka, because you made the trade for him and he's Luka Doncic. He's arguably the best player in the league. Keep him. You get him Giannis, and then you could kind of just pick with get how Dallas built their team around Luka to get shooters and some.
You're the Lakers, though. Everything else will fall into place. Like Giannis, LA, it's easy.
You get guys for cheap. It's like Miami when you guys you had the Heatles.
It's easy. Yep, I'm going down to Miami.
Miller, Ray Allen. I'll take the vet. Yeah, I want to win a championship. Yeah. And then everything comes I think the Lakers are the super dark horse. I know it's the same, like you mentioned, it's the same teams that are in on the stars, but the Lakers, I'm worried about the Lakers swooping in because they're the Lakers and they always seem to get their guy. And the Knicks always feel like we almost get the guy. Like it's like something happens in between everything and we almost get the guy. Oh, then we have to settle for like a tier below guy, like Melo, for instance.
And with Miami, it seems like they're gonna be the team to go get that guy.
And Miami too.
You wake up and find out Pat Riley was asleep. Like you wake up and find out Pat Riley sat on his hands. Like every scenario where Miami gets mentioned, it was like down to the wire. Like this guy was about to be in a Heat uniform. Kevin Durant was about to come to Miami. Like even the Gordon Hayward. Now I know, but it started back with getting Gordon Hayward. Like he was about to be in a Miami Heat uniform, and then last minute changed, and we sat on our hands in the situation, and Boston came in and swooped them. And then same thing with Kevin Durant. It's like Miami be right there. You're so convinced Miami's gonna get that guy. And then you come to find that guy goes elsewhere, and it's because Miami sat on their hands.
I wonder with Miami if the Jimmy stuff kind of hurts them a little bit, how that whole ended and how some of the stars get treated at the end, with the D-Wade stuff. Like D-Wade should have been a Miami Heat for his whole life. Heat for life. That didn't end well. The Shaq stuff didn't end well. LeBron didn't end well. Jimmy didn't end well. Like they get the guys, but somehow it doesn't end well. I wonder if that kind of hurts them a little bit because Pat seems like he's out. I don't know. I don't know what's going on with Pat. I mean, he is older, he is.
I think the only thing was I with D Wade.
That's my thing with Miami. Like, I don't know how
with D Wade, I get it. Now the thing with LeBron was LeBron signed with Miami and was like in the prime of his career and wanted control of the world. And the one thing that's not going to happen in Miami is you're not going to have that. And then with Jimmy is like, your powers ran out. And now you're just an asshole. Like, it's cool. It was cool for Jimmy to be an asshole when they were winning. Miami was winning. He was carrying them to the Eastern Conference Finals. He carried them to 2 NBA Finals. It was all good. But you seen that last series, that last year when the Heat went to the finals against the Denver Nuggets. After that, you kind of saw the writing on the wall because he kind of hobbled into carrying the Heat into that situation anyway. And after the Milwaukee series, you remember the New York series, and you remember even in the NBA, like it was Gabe Vincent had an incredible shooting series. Like he was shooting out unworldly. Bam Adebayo was playing out of his mind. So you kind of saw the writing on the wall at that point with age and everything like that. And Jimmy Butler still had this asshole mantra. And it's like, bro, when you're not winning games, you're an asshole. When you're winning games, that asshole stuff works. It's just like the same way people grew tired of Kobe at the end because, like, bro, you're an asshole, but you can't help us. Like, you no longer can help us win. Now you're just an asshole.
But with Giannis, like, all right, first, let's say with that, like, Giannis is going to want his brothers on the team. You know that, right? That's going to be a part of the. Like, is Pat Riley going to be like? Is Pat Riley going to? Because Giannis has some diva to him. We've seen it. He has some diva.
I think Pat Riley will buy into the fact that his brothers will probably be they're heat culture type of guys. The Nassus ain't really that good, but you put him in a Miami Heat.
He let Udonis be on the team for 10 years.
10 years too long. Like the Nassus ain't, but you see him in a Heat uniform and you'll see him play a productive 10 minutes. Like you could imagine the Nassus in a Miami Heat culture in the middle of the season when, he's stepped up and asked to play a lot of minutes because a certain guy isn't playing for the next 2 to 3 games. And he give you a quality 10 to 12 minutes for the simple fact, like they can maximize that style of play.
But it's not even playing wise. It's just the reason why he has it's comfort, right? That's how Giannis grew up.
You bring Giannis in and you make him as comfortable as possible.
I understand that, but I want to. Pat Riley have that.
I think New York will do it. I think the Lakers will do it, and that's the other thing. Now that Jeannie Buss has sold this team, it's the Dodgers. The guy that owns the Dodgers now, Mark Walter, now owns the Lakers. Like this guy is funded with money, living in the luxury tax in order to win a championship.
And that's the thing too, is the luxury tax too. He'll pay the luxury tax.
He'll be willing to live in, as far as, especially if it's bringing championships. You see, like no salary cap in baseball. He does not care. Like whatever it costs in order to get a team that can win a championship, I will do it. So I don't think like the luxury tax and all of that, you're not dealing with a broke owner. And so somehow, some way, the Lakers they will finance their entire this guy will finance his entire future on his investment, knowing what the next 5 years would flood in, having Luka Doncic and Giannis Antetokounmpo, 2 international superstars in the city that's the most well-known city in the world. Like LA is probably the most well-known, LA and New York. East Coast, West Coast, the 2 most well-known cities in the world from the United States. And you have that, and you bring that European side to LA, it would be absolutely insane. But we spend a lot more time on college football, talked a lot about the Giannis trade. I just want to ask you one thing, kind of overall thing before we get up out of here. And that's really just in the college basketball realm. We're talking NBA. So it's, we're dead set in the season. March Madness isn't too far around the corner. We're in conference play. We're in the middle of conference play in college basketball. We're starting to see like teams are starting to show who they really are. But within that, so are players. You're starting to see, this is about that time in the season where the great players become great and you start projecting what they're going to be able to do in the NCAA tournament. But you also start projecting where they're going to fall in the NBA draft. So just would have been a couple guys, and really of the main guys, the AJ DeBontas, the Boozer, one of the Boozer twins, the guard from Kansas. What is it that you're seeing about this guys that's making this draft possibly very special? Because there's a lot of talk. To me, man, it's been one of the most hyped up drafts since 2003 when D-Wade, LeBron, Chris Bosh, and Carmelo Anthony was coming in, and then Darko Milicic as a foreigner. Like, and there's a possibility that I think there's more depth in this draft than that draft, but the star heavy, like the 4 or 5 heavy hitters coming into this draft have potential to be like legendary draft names when it's all said and done. What is it that you've been seeing when watching college basketball and watching these guys?
Man, there's a lot of great players, and I think when you see this, you're like, oh, there's going to be teams who will maybe have a late lottery pick or back end of the single digits of the draft that are going to be like, okay, we didn't get the number 1 pick, but 8, we could still get a really high end level player, and it just gives teams hope. So it's like, all right, if we don't have to fully tank. We could get the 4th pick and we could get Caleb Wilson out of North Carolina. We could get Cam Boozer at 4. So it just kind of hope. And, like last year, some people thought maybe this is going to be a really good draft. And I think there were still good players, but like the back end of the draft, after you got past like 10, it was like, oh, okay. These guys maybe not really a lottery pick because, obviously with NIL, a lot of guys went back to school.
Right.
So, you're going to have that. This draft feels different. This draft feels like you can get legit star potential even in like the mid lottery. Like you can get a Donovan Mitchell type or maybe, that type of player late. the way, Donovan Mitchell was in 2017, 2018, whatever year he came out, one of those years. So it's just, and then the top end, like if you get rich and you get one of those top 2-3 picks, like you're in really good shape. Like you can have a game changer in AJ or Darren Peterson or Booze, Caleb Wilson. I think there's a big four in this. I think those four guys, I think they're locked in at the top four. Now, whether it's just a matter of, it's just
a matter of who gets 1 through 4 and what your biggest need is. But I agree with you there. I think those are the top 4. I think, but having those 4 heavy hitters and knowing like you got A-Cup Jr. Yeah, you got Darius A-Cup Jr. You got the point guard from Louisville. Like you have a lot of other guards and you got a lot of other players after those big 4. And I think that's what makes the anticipation of this draft class. Now, the guy that just me personally, before we get out of here, I'm Darren Peterson. That's the guy. I think he's the one of the 4. I just really like his game. Now, health, I know, is the biggest concern. And you don't ever want to come into the league unhealthy. You don't ever want the question marks of health coming into the league, being 18, 19 years old. That's always tough. But I just, from a pure, like, just player standpoint, Darren Peterson is one of the best guards I've seen in a while at the college, his performance as a guard at the college basketball level. Like when he's on that court, you don't feel like Kansas doesn't have an opportunity to win. It doesn't matter who they play. Mm-hmm. Like they can play Duke tomorrow. If Darren Peterson's playing, not saying Duke doesn't beat them. I would take Duke in that game because they got another one. They got a guy too.
We played them earlier this year, but he didn't play though. He was hurt.
Right. But and I feel like, he's one of those guys in that 4 that I think he's the one. But of those 4 guys, as long as right now, the way they're playing at the level that they're playing at, as long as you have one of those guys, I feel like you have an opportunity to, you feel comfortable in having an opportunity to win a national championship. Like these are national championship type guys, like the Anthony Davis at Kentucky, the Karl Anthony Towns at Kentucky type effect. Like where I arguably have the best guy in the country. Just the thing is, there's 4 of them. And I think with those guys, they all have the ability to. Now you look at how deep the teams are to evaluate whether they can win the national championship. But like from an individual standpoint and the skill set, those 4 guys have the ability. Walker pointed out that AJ DeBansa reminds him a lot of SGA. And after he said it, I watched it in that lens to see what he was talking about. And I saw it. I'm not saying he's the next SGA or anything, but I see what he was saying once he pointed it out. I don't think I would have thought that had Walker not said anything. But once he said something, I kind of look at that lens and I'm like, I see what you're seeing, especially when Walker was saying, I'm not comparing him to SGA today. I'm comparing him to SGA when SGA was coming out of Kentucky, when SGA was first, with the in the league.
They have a similar shot diet. That's why he kind of compared him, because the shot diet and like how they operate within like the restricted area, within below the free throw line is very similar. So I get that, because and SGA wasn't a great shooter at Kentucky, and in his first few years he wasn't a great shooter. I think AJ can develop. Like right now he's shooting in the 30%, around the 32%, but just watching the way he played, I think he could be a solid 3-point shooter in the league. But like I did a mock draft recently. You could check it out on my YouTube channel. And I had a couple guys, Steven, our guy Steven, who from No Ceilings, and I got a Corbin. We did a mock. I had the number 1 pick. I took AJ. I think he still has the build. Like he's 6'10", 230. Like he's so strong. Like there's not saying that Darren Peterson is not. I think Darren Peterson is going to go number 1. Because I think the skills and like we're getting crazy expectations with Kobe compared, and that's when things get a little. That's high stand. That's almost the highest of the highest standard. That's like getting compared to LeBron or Michael Jordan. Like that's crazy, and there's similarities, but I think AJ, like his body, he's bullying college dudes, and I think he could bully some NBA dudes, and I think that potential. And we're all listen when you're taking a guy. You want them to produce now, but you're saying, okay, what is this guy in 3, 4, 5 years? Like, I think AJ DeBansa is an all-star, like superstar level player. I think Darren's going to be good too, but I could see a world where Darren Peterson is like he's averaging 21, 22 a game, and he's a really good player, but he's not a superstar.
Next level.
I think it's just me. I could be wrong. That's fine. I just think with DeBansa, I just think he has the NBA body that can withstand, playing 82 games. Where I think I'm still a little the
Yeah, he
little
can't even make
age.
it through his freshman year in college. So I
I'm not
understand.
that could all go away. That could all go away once you get to the NBA and just like you just get this, luck and you're. But I don't know. And I just feel like NAJ's intensity. I know Darren plays it, but I don't know. There's just something that if you're saying to me, and when I did the mock draft, the other two were like shocked that I took AJ, which is kind of crazy in a sense because it's not like I'm picking someone.
Yeah.
It's not like I'm taking, some like Braden Smith number one. It's like, all right, there is a legit like debate, but they'd said the perimeter stuff with AJ, do they think they buy it? I buy it. I think he could get better. You can get better. I think people forget that. Like, I know you don't like Kawhi Leonard. I know but he wasn't a great shooter in college, and then he eventually became a knockdown, the best mid-range shooter in the NBA, and he can shoot the three ball well. You can get better. If you're in the right situation, you can get better. So I think with AJ, if you get him in the right system and if he could figure out that, the sky's the absolute. He could be an absolute monster, an MVP level player. So, but and Cam Boozer too. I know people with Cam Boozer. Not to get off on a hinge, but Cam Boozer. I know people. For some reason, people watch him and they're like, "Oh, I don't think he's going to be a good NBA player." But I'm like, he's good. Like, he's just a really good basketball player. And maybe he doesn't have the upside like AJ, but there could be a world where he lasts longer than AJ because he's just a really good basketball player. He's 20-10, but because he doesn't play above the rim, but dude, he won at every level, AAU, every level.
His dad, bro. His dad was a really good basketball player.
His dad was a really good. He wasn't
Carlos Boozer, but the Carlos Boozer and Darren Williams days with Andre Karolinko, like, hey, people better go check. Like, don't act like the Boozer twins are coming from some bum of a daddy that their standards aren't like the expectation. We're so used to these young kids being superstars of like the players who they played in the league, but they weren't necessarily like, now it's Carlos Boozer and Kenyon Martin and Gilbert Arenas, like real viable dads that hoop that the standard at the next level, like, hey, he ain't just gonna be better than his dad. But that's how Carlos Boozer played. Like, he wasn't above the rim, but I give you 22 and 10 every night.
20 and 10. He was 20 and 10. He was a second round pick too. Think about that. Without the knowledge. Now you add Cam Boozer, who's going to be a top 5 or 4 pick. He has the knowledge from his pops and whoever else is in this circle. I'm sure he's got other NBA players from pops knows that he's got all that knowledge, and he's 6'10". He could score. I think he's going to be a good. I think he's third because I think the first two guys' upside are absurd. So I think you can't pass it. But he's going to win National Player of the Year probably this year. Cam Boozer.
Yeah, National Player of the Year. He's been playing.
Duke only got one loss this year. They should be undefeated, but they blew that Texas Tech lead. But whatever. But he's going to be the National Player of the Year, and they might win the national championship. And so I think one other thing, winning is like the most underrated thing that we don't look at enough. Like, sometimes it doesn't matter, but I feel like when you look at a player like him, you're just like, and you're in a bad situation. Let's say the Wizards. You've been losing. How long? No, they've been losing since I feel like I was born.
Forever.
They've been losing forever, essentially, right? Like, they had the little 5-year span with Gilbert and all Jameson and all them boys.
Yeah, where they were a decent playoff team. Like, that's it.
Yeah, for me growing up when they had Jawan Howard and Chris Webber and all those guys, like they had but like if you want to change the culture, you got to bring in guys who just win, who have winning pedigree. Like, Cam Boozer's won at every level. So if you have the third pick, take him and build that culture back up and build a winning culture, because you got to start somewhere. You can't just keep you can't keep losing, man. Eventually you got to just bring in winning players, even if they're young. Just, hey, he won everywhere. AAU. Okay, yeah, we bring him in because he changed the culture. So I think he could be a culture changer for a team too. I think, like I said, doesn't have the upside of either. Have upside maybe of Caleb Wilson. Caleb Wilson is freaky athlete, but I think Cam Boozer is good. It's just a lot of good players, man. Darius Acuff's good. Mikel Brown's good. Kingston Fleming's is good. Keaton Wagler, the kid that just dropped 45 with Illinois, he could hoop. Cameron Carr from Baylor, he's a freaky athlete. Like, there's a lot of It's a lot of talent in this draft. And that's what gets people excited, because unlike last year where you kind of got like false advertising in a sense, or you're like, oh, this could be generational. It's like, oh, there's Cooper Flag. Okay. And there's a couple of, obviously VJ is a hooper. He's nice too. But I think this one's legit where you're like, oh, no, we can get an all-star at like in the back end of the lottery. Like, so teams just need hope. And this draft is like the hope. This is like the holy grail of hope. Like, this can change our franchise. Like, and we know, unfortunately, the way in basketball, you gotta be really bad to be able to get one of these type of generational guys. And unfortunately for some team, you could be top 5 and you can get that guy.
Yeah, and you might could hit the jackpot. So there you have it. The 2026 NBA draft is going to be absolutely loaded. Hopefully the 2026 2026 NBA season finishes is great. I feel like the NBA playoffs got a lot to live up to, because these NFL playoffs have been absolutely amazing for everybody that's been sitting there and watching the NFL playoffs on the weekend. We're now, about to enter. We're in Super Bowl time. Football season is coming to an end, but the NBA playoffs got a lot to live up to, because there were a lot of close games. But that's Chris LeBron. I'm Coach Mo, and we'll catch you on another episode of the Coach Mo Murphy podcast. Be well, be safe. Make sure you're taking care of yourselves in these freezing temperatures. There's nothing to play with. He can put the U down. Be well, be safe, be easy. We'll catch you on the next episode of the Coach Mo Murphy podcast.